I was a miserable man 2 years ago. I was trapped in a loop of bad habits centered around a pee addiction that I had been stuck with since the age of 13. And because of these bad habits, I had basically become a zombie in real life. I had no ambition to chase my goals and absolutely no confidence when talking to women. But this all changed when I stumbled upon NoFap. After my first month-long streak, I felt like a completely different person. I had an increased vigor in the gym, my social anxiety disappeared, and my life overall just had a general feeling of hope to it. I deleted TikTok and all of the dating apps, unfollowed hundreds of Instagram models, and soon after, my entire YouTube feed became comprised of Hamza, Fresh and Fit, Kevin Samuels, and other red pill content. I was fueled with motivation and started to become the best version of myself. I was even able to land my first few dates with a beautiful girl, get into the best shape of my life, and completely erase all of that social anxiety. But with all of this newfound life-changing success, came an unforeseen side effect. One that would immediately wipe all the progress that I had seen from a 90+ day streak in a matter of seconds. The true dark side of NoFap isn't the relapses, or even the urges, but rather the unhealthy attachment that you grow to the practice. The brutal reality was that I had built up so much importance centered around the length of the streak that in my head, any deviation from perfection meant absolute failure. And when your view of success is so rigid, you're basically setting yourself up for failure. And inevitably, after my first 90+ day streak that saw me get so much success and garner so much hunger in my life, I relapsed. And the floodgates opened. I immediately started calling myself a loser. I lost all my confidence, and all of that negative self-talk came rushing back into my life. That one relapse turned into 2, and then 3. And within a few weeks, I had entered a worse mental state than I had had before I even entered the practice. In my mind, I was spiraling downward after each relapse. And soon, I began to think to myself, would I have been in a better place if I never started NoFap in the first place? It was at this exact point that I realized that NoFap was making me miserable, and that I needed to change my life for the better. If I can impress one thing throughout this entire video upon you, it's that you need to be able to instantly forgive yourself. Mastering the art of self-forgiveness is one of the strongest tools that you can have in your arsenal against the war of lust. Of course, after you relapse, you're gonna feel a slight tinge no matter what. But being able to instantly forgive yourself will allow you to get back on the path so much faster and learn from the experience so much easier. No amount of self-deprecation is gonna make your situation any better. In fact, it's obviously just gonna make it worse. Instead, when you're in these situations, I ask that you do the extremely difficult task and simply look back at all of the positives that have entered your life since you started the practice. To recall all of the deep conversations you've been able to have with your friends and family due to your newfound presence, the joy you've regained from taking simple walks in nature, the newfound courage you found in social situations, and to remember that we only truly fail when we choose not to try again. If you can gain the superpower of being able to instantly forgive yourself, you won't see 90% of the downsides of relapsing that you typically would, and staying on the practice will become almost natural to you. When you're in these vulnerable states, you have to be able to become your best friend, to be able to see the situation for what it is from a third-person perspective. Staying on the path of NoFap is extremely hard, and it may just be the hardest practice that any man can take on in the modern day. You're basically fighting thousands of years of evolutionary biology and all of the smartest software developers in Silicon Valley, all trying to make you an easy to manipulate soy boy. And that's why I know, if you've made any progress on NoFap, and I mean absolutely any progress, you're an absolute fucking savage, and better than 90% of teenagers in the Western world. It's a practice that you will never be able to perfect throughout your entire life, and that's because it's not meant to be perfected. Instead, it's meant to be a bridge for your lesser self to cross into a self-actualized version of yourself. And the faster you forgive, the easier and much more enjoyable this journey becomes. Another vital point that I want to drive into is that this idea of a streak is killing absolutely any chance you have of staying on this practice. Throughout this video, I've been mentioning 30-day streaks, 90-day streaks, but that's simply for the purpose of relating to you, as well as a past version of myself. Because for over a year, I've completely stopped counting the days. Because when you think about it, the idea of a NoFap streak is completely counterintuitive. For example, what other healthy habits that you partake in daily do you count the days on? Do you track the amount of days that you've gone to the gym? Of course not, because it's ingrained into your routine. It's become a part of your self-identity. It's a given that you're gonna go to the gym 5 days a week. It's a given that you're gonna eat 3 high-protein meals per day. It's a given that you're gonna wake up, take a cold shower, and meditate. We don't count the days for these healthy habits because we identify with them. And if you wanna break the unhealthy attachment to NoFap, you need to identify yourself as a person who doesn't watch pee, as a person who doesn't stimulate himself to watching other people get funky. And it takes time, a lot of time, to build this strong self-identity. But the beautiful part is, once it's built, it becomes incredibly hard to break. Now, instead of relapsing once, breaking your streak, and falling back into old habits, you can relapse, brush it off, and treat it as if nothing happened. Because that relapse doesn't identify with who you are, but rather it's a fluke that doesn't correlate with your current identity. And since I've stopped counting the days, not only have my streaks gotten so much longer, but my mental health has become so much better. I've been able to forgive myself with ease because I know within my heart that me acting upon one impulse doesn't define me as a person. I truly hope that these tips helped you, bro. Stay focused and keep grinding.